Hi everyone, I'm glad you joined me today. We're going to direct sow some sunflowers today, and you're saying, what? You're saying, wait a minute, I thought you preached to us to give your sunflowers a head start and start them in cell packs and start them ahead of time and don't direct sow. And yes, I do. For the most part, all of my pro cuts, for the most part, all of them, I start them ahead of time in cell packs and give them a head start. But I did want to plant, and I always like to plant a couple of branching sunflowers. The pro cuts are a single stem sunflower, and they're used for cutting. They're pollenless, and they're used to have cut flowers. These are not pollenless, and they are branching. So we have Ruby Eclipse. It's one of my favorite sunflowers, and we have just some mixed ones, and we have Red Sun. Date is now July the 10th, and my first expected frost date here in my zone 6B is October 23rd. So these sunflowers are 75 to 90 days from seed to bloom. So that means I'm really pushing it out almost to my first frost date. But I have more than 90 days left in my growing season. So I think these should be fine. And I'll have them in the autumn time when, you know, kind of sunflowers in summer and sunflowers in autumn time go together. But in order for me to direct sow sunflowers, I have to take an extra step, and maybe you do too. And you're going to see that in a minute, because I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to go to where we're going to plant these. But we have to win in the war of the birds. So we're going to take an extra step after we sow these sunflower seeds. So let's get on that. All right, so we're just going to plant them in a small bed. I mean, obviously, I won't be able to plant too many because they get huge. I mean, they get big. The Ruby Eclipse, I think, gets 4 to 6 feet, and the Red Sun gets 5 feet, so they're all around the same height. And I'll probably have to maybe stake them. So I'm only going to be able to plant a few because this is only a 2 by 4 by 1 foot deep bed. I kind of sneaked this one in, and you can see, or well, I don't think you can see all of them, but I have a lot of other beds. So I'm going to add a little bit of land and sea compost here. I do have, this bed is filled with raised bed soil, but the raised bed soil always has a little bit of wood in it, and which is fine. It kind of gives it some substance and some body, but I always like to mix in a little bit of compost too, and that just kind of gives your seedlings a head start. Okay, so that's all mixed in together. Right, so these sunflowers want to be planted about a 1/2 inch deep. So I'm going to make, I think maybe, I'd like to say 3 trenches. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to make 3 trenches and go for it. Let's just do it. So did I say 1/2 inch deep? Yeah. So I'm just going to take the end of this little teeny little trowel here and make just a little row here and a little row in the middle. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to win on the war with the birds in just a minute, so hang with me. This is so weird because I'm just reading again on this Ruby Eclipse sunflower. It says it gets 5 to 6 inches. No, that's not right. It must have been a misprint. Anyway, this one that's mixed gets 4 to 6 feet. And this one gets, the Red Sun gets 5 feet. So they all get around the same. But just in case I'm wrong, I'm going to put the Ruby Eclipse in the front. But I've grown them before. I mean, I know they get, 5 to 6 inches. No. That's false. Gosh, there's not very many seeds in here. Okay, so I'm going to put the seeds probably like, 6 6 inches apart. I'm just laying them in there, and then I'll cover up my trench. It's hard to see these little seeds sometimes. So I have about 6. I might put a couple extras. All right, so I did about 8. And now, let's do the mixed, and we'll put the red sun in the back. So it says these get 4 to 6 feet tall. One of the nice things about planting your sunflowers close together, is they help support each other. So, and there are so many varieties of sunflowers. If I'd have really thought through it, you know, I would have gotten one that stayed about this tall. 3 feet or something. And there are a bunch of them, but because these are going to be planted so close together, they may not reach their full potential, which is totally fine, you know, in height. Okay, so we're in the middle trench, and I'm going to do every 6 inches, and then I'm just going to throw a couple extras in. All right, so in the last row, we'll do the red sun. You know, I love planting in raised beds. I really do. But my dream is to have long rows of cut flowers. And you might say, why not? Why don't you? When you look around here. But this is a cattle farm. So we really need our pasture land for cattle farming. Now I'm just gonna like pinch the soil together. I'm gonna move you closer for just a minute so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I don't know if this is any better for you or not, but I'm just pinching to cover the seeds. Sunflowers like to be covered in order to germinate. This is where it comes in handy when my granddaughter helps me film, because she can get in there. So then I just give it a good pat down, and then I do need to go get a watering can. So we'll water them in, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, so I moved you back in the shade, but I went and got some water. So we'll water the seeds in. That's one of the keys when you're direct sowing seeds, is to keep them moist. If you don't keep your seeds moist, they're not going to germinate for you. So I'm just soaking this really well. All right, so in order to actually get these sunflowers to where they will grow, I have to fight the birds. And I'm inserting a picture now of another bed that I sowed at least twice with sunflowers. And I sowed, actually they're full of sunflower Steve sunflowers, and they're some of the double sunflowers and stuff like that. And they got up like, what is that, 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And I came out, and they were all the sunflowers were pulled up. All the little seedlings were pulled up, and the sunflowers had been eaten. Obviously by birds, or any kind of a critter, but probably birds. And then there's other times when I have direct seeded sunflowers, and they just don't even wait for them to germinate. They just drill a hole. I don't know, it's like, do the birds, I was talking to my grandson, how do they know? Are they sitting on the fence watching me? And when I plant these sunflower seeds, and he's like, yeah, that's what they're doing. So anyway, so we're gonna win. You saw how we covered that other bed. We're gonna win in the war of the birds with these sunflowers. We win, yay. These hoops I bought on Amazon. They're like a 24-inch hoop, and they're bendable. They're nice. I've made some of my own hoops for taller things, but these are really good hoops for these size beds. Whoops, hope I didn't just get into where I planted there. So I'm just bending these like I want them. So now what we're going to do is just cover this whole bed with this lightweight garden fabric. It's row cover garden fabric. I get mine on Amazon. I'm walking a little closer to the camera so I can show you. It's lightweight. It's summer garden fabric. I don't know if you're seeing it there. Let me get around here. Okay. Yeah, it's lightweight. The water can get through it. The sun light can get through it. It doesn't cause any shade at all. So this is a perfect summer cover, row cover, garden blanket, whatever you want to call it. I am in the process of cleaning this bed out. This has Orlea, it had Orlea, and green mist ami. And I have another succession of pro-cut sunflowers that are ready. Actually, they're past due, ready to go in here. So I don't think I will grow the green mist ami anymore. I think I'm going to stick with Orlea and Dara for my fillers and my cool flower filler. I wasn't crazy about the green mist ami. We're going to lay it over in a single file, and this is just to keep the birds from plucking up. Now once the sunflowers get, you know, so big, this will come off. So we're just going to kind of drape it over here, and then I'm going to weight it down with some bricks that we had here on the farm. And as I said, the water, the rain, when you water them, it can go right through it. So I want to make sure I cover the entire bed because I don't want a bird sneaking in there and then not being able to get out. I wouldn't like that. I don't want to harm the little buddies. I just don't want them eating my sunflowers. Not till I'm ready for them to eat my sunflowers or eat any of the seeds. That's another reason why I do like to have some branching sunflowers for the birds to leave in the garden. But I got to get them going first. So I need to get a couple more bricks from my brick pile, but this is done. This is ready. And let me show you how we can water. Oh, a little bit of water left in here. You can just water right through this. So, works great. You know, this is not the prettiest apparatus here, but it works and it's functional. And remember to take it off, you know, when your sunflowers get so big so that they can grow to their, whatever their potential. And so we win, yay! Anyway, thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time, friends. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.